It's April the 4th, Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em for a chance to win 100x in NBA, MLB, NHL, college basketball, and more. Sign up today using the promo code MLBSGPN to get a 100% deposit match. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of April, and myself and Dylan are here to have a little bit of chit-chat about there's some live stuff going on, what's happened in the last couple of days. And then we've got a weird little 5-game slate for Thursday. So we'll do our usual. We're just starting to see lines. But also a few player props and maybe some DFS darts and things like that. We'll try and find some extra plays. Joining me from somewhere in New York State, I believe, is Mr. Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'd be doing a little better. I feel like I'm in England right now. I've had 4 days of rain, just constant rain. So kind of gloomy out here, but overall doing well. Baseball season's been treating me well so far. Had a really good day yesterday, doing well today, besides the Brewers just choking it out. But yeah, nothing like a little day baseball, you know?
Yeah, there's been some nice times for me, actually. But yeah, I feel like I've started okay as well. We'd still put our picks into tally sites. So on a daily basis, any listeners or anyone else who comes across the show or the website can go and go and have a look at all the hosts' picks and even a few others. Sure, Colby puts them in and what have you. Yeah, and I've been going along quite steady. I've got a little sweat on live, just pizza bet now. I parlayed the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox. And
Are you a
both
big
close,
parlay
one game
guy?
tied in the Red Sox. Yeah, but yeah, I did all right earlier on, actually. I'll tell you, we'll get to that in a little bit. So I'm going to talk you through some of the player props that I hit on. Last night, Dylan, I think we both partook of some first class sport, didn't we? I was at Newcastle v Everton in the Premier League, and you were at the ice hockey.
Oh yeah. Devils, oh, they blew it. It was 3-1, and the kid next to me goes, "Oh, we're winning. We're gonna win. We got a 2-goal lead." And then the Penguins wind up scoring 5 goals in the last period, and we wind up losing
Oh
6-3.
wow!
So yeah, it was a bad turn of events. They blew it last night, but big win for the lads for us. Hopefully it kind of saves us from regulation. I feel like we've been doing well since you sent me my nice little scarf, you know?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, Newcastle blew it as well, Dylan. So I think we were both in the same boat. We played Everton, who aren't very good. They're a really ugly football team. And we were 1-0 up and we couldn't score a second goal. And the longer it went on, you knew something terrible was going to happen. And sure enough, Everton got a penalty with about 5 minutes left. I'll tell you what, there's been a full slate of Premier League action this week, Dylan. 10 games in the Premier League Gambling Podcast, as you know. It's a fine product from this network. And there's been 8 games so far, Dylan. I am 0-8 on the week. I'm in
That's
line
hard
for
to
the big,
do.
isn't it? It's impossible
That's
if you
hard.
challenge me. If you challenge me to get them all wrong. So yeah, there's 2 more tomorrow night, Dylan, and I'm going to go 0-10. I don't know what to do with that. What do I have to do at that point? Do I just hand in my resignation? Do I just walk off into the sunset, never to be seen again? What's the
Well,
situation?
I think you got to tell everyone what your 2 plays for Sheffield United and Liverpool so we could do the opposite and make some money.
Yeah. That, do you know what? It's a bit of a cop out, but when we have a bad week on the show, I'll say, listen, all you had to do was pick the other stuff. I'm only telling you what I'm picking. I'm not telling you to pick them. So
Yeah.
you could, Dylan, if you had any sense, could be sitting 8-0 at the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's me. I think I picked Sheffield United plus 2.5 on the handicap, and Chelsea and Manchester United are going to draw tomorrow. So there's the 2. I'm almost rooting for it now. I think I'll be disappointed if I went 1-9. That'll be disappointing. You've got to go for the big old 0-10. But it was a good win for Forest. It was very important. Your man Morgan Gibbs-White was brilliant. I thought there's a rule on this pod where you get a $1 fine for talking about football. So we both have to get our hands in our pockets. Trev, first in, how you doing? Was at work yesterday. We'll let you off, Trev. Tiger 7 asking about the Cubs sweeping tonight. The fact that you look at that game and they're playing the Rockies, so you just say yes. But it's the presence of Luke Little that's just a bit of an unknown. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't talk you out of it, Tiger, but it's like you say, if you know more about Luke Little than I do, then go for it. But it's a bit of a dodgy one. Randy's joined us. Randy, how you doing? Captain Sino as well. I'll tell you what we can talk about is I had the record for when we do the pre-season show, giving out our season-long picks. I took the Baltimore over 2 years ago, and I cashed in something like mid-August, and that was the record for a pre-season pick cash-in until this week. If you listened to the show last week, Scott Reichel gave out the Miami Marlins' longest losing streak of the season over 6.5. And he had 162 games to sweat it out, but he's cashed it on the 3rd of April. Absolutely wild. What a great pick. That's one of the funniest things I've seen, Sam. So congratulations to Scott. It's nice to get a season-long bet cash on the 3rd of April. That's definitely the fastest I know. So that's brilliant from Scott. 0 for 8 for Miami. I don't know. Captain Encino saying he backed them tonight. He bet the fish, which is a bit odd. They do look in a bit of a mess. It was the pitching. The thing is, though, they haven't been able to hit the ball. They haven't scored any runs. But it was the pitching that went to pot. We thought they would go to pot because they lost Garrett, Cabrera, Perez. But it's the bats that are doing all the... They've just been swept off the Angels. The Angels are returning home to Anaheim, top of that division. So it's just, I suppose it's just one of those things. It's similar to how the Brewers were going along at 100% record and the Pirates. But yeah, just one of those things. Right. What we're going to do then, we'll get stuck into these games as far as humanly possible. And like I say, throw out some player props as well. I'll tell you why these player props, Dylan. And I mentioned this website I've been using, bit of free advertising, Moonshots MLB. I've been using that to build my DFS lineups, which I've done quite well on. But for example, tonight, and I feel like I shortchanged myself tonight because I used this website. I took the total bases from the stats on Rhys Hoskins and Corey Seager, and both hit home runs. So I feel like I let myself down a bit because I got paid out at sort of plus 230 when home run prices were much, much bigger. And I took Bryce Harper last night for the same reason. And Bryce Harper made 3 home runs. I did take him, so I think I got 6.5 to 1 for him to hit a home run last night. I only saw one pitch of that game. I saw that it was in the bottom of the first, so I knew Harper would be up to bat, but I was going to bed. So I flicked the game on. Harper was at the plate. The count was 2-2. Ashcraft delivered, and Harper headed out for a home run. So I saw one pitch of that game, and then trotted up the stairs to bed. Quite a happy little bunny, like so. So yeah, I'll throw out using the same system. Some hitters that we like tomorrow, not the obvious ones either. Bryce Harper, etc. All a little bit obvious, but some players that'll be further down the DFS slate if you were to back them. I'll tell you first about Cut, peer-to-peer social betting platform, US-based, available in 40 states. Peer-to-peer social betting is a new and better way to bet. You can bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture. Create your own bets. That's the best thing to do. Put your bets on there. Ryan and Sean and the NASCAR gang and the golfers. They've all been putting their own bets up there, trying to rustle up some customers. Cut handles all the payment, the VIG. You get cash back every time as well. So download Cuts today in the App Store or over at kutt.com. Use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. And Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place and the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. And just pick your players, pick the props. You can pick between 2 and 5 players to build your pick'em entry and take the higher or lower on the props that you like. You can win 100x your money. Sign up today. We have our own personal show code, which is MLB SGPN, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. Visit underdogfantasy.com, find them in the App Store, and don't forget to register with our show code MLB SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or over, present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Okay, so we start tomorrow. You have said it's raining non-stop where you are for 4 days.
Yeah.
So we've got a double header on Thursday. The first game is scheduled at 12:10 Eastern between the Detroit Tigers and the New York Mets. We have Casey Mize going for the Tigers in game 1, and Adrian Hauser will go for the Mets. Lines are plus 110 on the Tigers, minus 130 on the Mets. Total is low, sitting at 7.5, which makes sense with two kind of weak performing offenses in terrible conditions. But Dylan, we'll let you lead off here with the Mets because obviously you've been more party to what's been going on over the last few days. So how are you feeling about this one? This is a game that me and Munaf handicapped on Monday. And now we're handicapping it again. The same pitching matchup, Mize and Hauser. That's how obviously wet it's been. They haven't been able to get on the field. So how do you feel about this?
I mean, I don't feel very confident in anything this team does, if I'm being honest. Like when I was on with Lonte, I think on Sunday for Easter, I was basically saying until the Mets prove you otherwise, that they could hit, that they could play defense, that the pitching could hold up. The bullpen has actually been decent. I think they're top 5, top 10 in ERA, about 2.8. So not a bad bullpen, but the starting pitching, I don't know what to expect from his first start in Adrian Hauser. Casey Mize is a guy that hasn't really pitched since 2022. So, I mean, getting plus money with a team that's shown that they could fight, shown that they could come back and win games. I mean, you got to take the Tigers until the Mets could prove that they could win a game. There's really nothing much I could say. I mean, look at the top of the lineup for the Mets. Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil are combined 3 for 44 to start the season. Nimmo's 1 for 16 with 1 walk. Lindor's 1 for 16 with 2 walks. And McNeil is 1 for 12 with 0 walks. So it's ugly right now. Francisco Alvarez has kind of been the best guy on at the plate for us. But other than that, this team is it's just hard to watch, man. It really is. So as long as the books continue to give us plus money, I got to roll with the Tigers here. So I'm going to take the plus 110 here with them.
Randy's saying that the Mets haven't lost in 2 days, Dylan. So that's something to be positive about. Yeah. So I'm going back to my handicap from Monday night. And Mize, obviously, we haven't seen him for such a long time. This kind of game, this handicap hinges on what Mize can do, obviously.
Yeah.
His metrics are fine. Nothing stands out. I did mention the other night that his expected ERA is high. We'll have to see how that pans out. But he does draw a nice start. You couldn't really wish at the moment, unless you got the Marlins, for a nicer start than the Mets. Hauser, he's just really steady, isn't he? 8-4 last year, 4.12 ERA for the Brewers. If he puts that up again, you won't be too disappointed. That kind of play is a low 4 ERA in the middle of the rotation. We mentioned that the Mets lost 3 games on 8 runs the other day, and the Tigers won 3 games on 11 runs. So it's fine margin, and there's not much in it. I picked the Tigers as well, but on the first 5, I just thought I just fancied Mize a little bit better. So I'm going to take the Tigers as well. In terms of the player stuff, there was only really one player that I wanted here, and you've already mentioned him, and that's Brandon Nimmo. Obviously, not done an awful lot so far, but the numbers. There was a lot of green in his profile. The numbers in his favour. So for Nimmo is a DFS play and a total basis play for Nimmo as well. at the top of the lineup. And there was nothing really that stood out for Detroit. I've got a few more players later on. So, yeah, I'll take Nimmo with the total basis tomorrow. Hopefully he can get going just a little bit. And Detroit in the first five will be my pick. Second game on the card is...
It's the double header, but we don't really know
yeah,
who's
double
going.
header. Yeah, do you want to... I mean, as it stands, we've got Matt Manning for Detroit.
Oh
We've
man,
got nothing for the Mets. So
yeah.
obviously we've got nothing to add in terms of the lineup and no lines, anything like that. Do you have anything at all on that one?
I'm just praying to God the Mets could at least just get one freaking run or one
Split.
game. Yeah, just split it, please. Just split it because they got a tough series against the Reds during the weekend. So hopefully we could get out of here with at least one win. But yeah, I have really nothing to go on because I really wonder who the Mets are going to throw. Are they going to throw Quintana? I really don't know.
Didn't it just sign Julio Teheran today as well?
Yeah, they did. Former All-Star.
Isn't he about my age? He's not a young man, is he?
Hey, the Mets can only do so much. We're a poverty organization. Come on.
Okay, we hope we get a bit more juice out of this next game. A 4:05 Eastern first pitch between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Washington Nationals. There's a lot of central teams. Every game's we got central stuff going on tomorrow. I don't know why that is. Thursday must be Central Day. Martin Perez, left-handed pitcher for Pittsburgh, and Josiah Gray will go for Washington. It's minus 133, Pittsburgh, plus 105, Washington. Total is it's 8.5, Dylan.
Yeah, give me the home puppy, Mal. I actually made the Nationals the favorite with
wow.
JoJo Gray on the mound. Getting any plus money, I got plus 110, but plus 105 is what it's at right now. It's going to be a play for me. He didn't have the best opening start against the Reds in opening day, but like I said, the Reds lineup has been really good to start the season. They could smash. So he also we've noticed since last year too. JoJo he pitches better at home than on the road, so you got to imagine he's going to have a better start. And what a start for the Pirates, undefeated. You got to imagine at some point they're going to come back to earth after starting 5-0. So I think they're a very fun young team. You, me, and Consig, we talked about them. I think they're playing better than a lot of us anticipated. But I am banking on some regression hitting this team, especially their pitching with Martin Perez. So I think the Nationals have the better pitcher in this spot. I think if they're able to get to Martin Perez, they should be able to hold on to the lead. So give me the plus money with the Nationals.
I'm on the other side of this, Dylan, unfortunately. Perez got the pitched 4 1/3 at Miami last week in a 7-2 win. 6 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks with only 2 Ks. Hard to analyse Perez because Miami have been so bad. Like you say, you could have thrown anybody against them. But Josiah Gray, I'm getting a little bit bored of him. He got hit hard at Cincinnati last week. 4 innings, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 homers. Did strike out 6. But looking under the hood a little bit, his average exit velo and the hard hit rate were both really, really high. And last year was at home where he did really struggle. 5.49 ERA in 59 innings and a 169 whip, which is really concerning me. So I was just happy to fade him. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh, just a plain old money line play. It's not going to win any prizes, minus 133. Pittsburgh have been decent. A couple of players that I did like in this. The obvious one's Brian Reynolds. Again, not an original choice, but Reynolds is, I think, can go well. And the other one, a little bit further down the list for Pittsburgh, is Jack Sawinski. We're looking at a 375 expected WOBA against the righty. So yeah, he'll be a good prices if you want to bet, but also a cheap DFS play as well. So Jack Sawinski to back up Brian Reynolds. Pittsburgh minus 133 is going to be the main play here.
Yeah, real quick, Cabrian Hayes, total bases. He's been on a heater. He's batting 391. He has 3 doubles, 9 hits. He has only 2 strikeouts. He gets on base, 5 walks, 5 RBIs. I also like O'Neal Cruz. I think he's been raking the ball as well. So those are the two kind of batters between total bases and home runs I kind of like for the Pirates.
Nice, D-Rock. Okay, into the third of 6 games, and it's a 4 tennis and first pitch. The Cleveland Guardians at the Minnesota Twins. Almost certainly the best pitching matchup on this little card tomorrow. We have Tanner Bibee for the Guardians, and we have Pablo Lopez for the Twins. Plus 120 on Cleveland, minus 150 for the Twins. Total is set at 7.5. Just a line on this, that as we speak, Cleveland are going well again. They lead 8-0 at Seattle in the bottom of the fourth. It was George Kirby, I think, who was Cleveland have hit out the game in that one. So Cleveland are going along. They scored a lot of runs. They scored a lot of runs against Oakland. So it was hard to know how that was going to translate. But they've tagged another 8 on tonight. So Cleveland generally an under team, but they're going along well at the moment. Bibee, 6.75 ERA. He wasn't great at Oakland last week, but he didn't need to be because Cleveland ran out easy 12-3 winners, pitched 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, did walk 5 batters. So you might fancy a walk prop on Bibee tomorrow. But Cleveland did sweep Oakland and have had 2 stunning starts from Shane Bieber as well, by the way. The numbers to his first 2 starts have been absolutely unbelievable. They scored 38 runs, plus 8 tonight. So get that up to 46. Tanner Bibee was a concern on the road last year. He was a full nearly 2 runs. It was about 175 worse on the road than he was at home. So that's a concern. And it's a little bit of a travel spot, obviously, in Seattle today, and then head to Minnesota tomorrow. Pablo Lopez is a stud. 1-0, 129 ERA. A lot of Cy Young talk about him, and was great at KC on debut. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, which came from a homer. He's had 9 games in a row with more than 6 strikeouts, so he doesn't need any ramping up if you want a strikeout prop on Lopez. Little concern was his home ERA last year. It was 4.21, which was a lot worse than his road record. And the Twins have only scored 11 runs so far, or they had done until tonight. They looked sort of done and dusted tonight. And the Brewers handed them one. And the Twins eventually got away. The 5 runs, 7th inning. So the Twins not scoring freely. They're not scoring regularly. They just got that sort of one crooked inning tonight. I like Bibee. The total is low, but justifiably so. And we've got 2 good bullpens here as well in Cleveland and Minnesota. I like both pens. I'm going to take the under, which I know kind of flies in the face of what Cleveland have been doing with a bat. But I'm not sure how sustainable that is, and I'm not hugely keen on the travel spot. I'm going to take the under 7.5 here. I'll give my player props out after your handicap, Dylan.
Yeah, give me the Twins here at home. I did make them a minus 155 favorite. I was able to get a minus 140 earlier in the day, but yeah, they had a nice comeback from behind win today against the Brewers. Their bats finally woke up in that 7th inning. And when their bats are going, especially that middle of the order with Brunson going, they're a tough team to beat. They don't strike out a lot. They just have to be more consistent at the plate, and I do think they should win this game. Like you said, Lopez, he looked great in his first start against the Royals. And Tanner Bibee, he's the kind of guy I really want to fade on the road. Kind of struggled against the A's in his first start. It didn't wind up mattering because they blew him out and broke out for 12 runs. So it kind of went under the radar, but he didn't really look all that good, in my opinion. So if the Twins could build off the momentum that they did have against the Brewers in that 7th inning, I think they'll have no problem getting to Bibee. So minus 150 is a little chalky, but I do think they are the right side. So I'll side with the Twins. As for the total, you said it's at 7.5. My total is 7.3, so I do agree slightly on the under.
In terms of player props that I wanted to look out for, I'm just looking how both of these players performed tonight, and they both went over. I've got Edward Julien, who went 0 for 2, and I think they pinch hit for him in the 4th or 5th inning. He got the hook pretty early on today. Don't don't know if he was injured, maybe. It kind of sounds like he was feeling something. And Max Kepler is the other one. Both got decent numbers against right-handed pitching for Minnesota. Kepler went 0 for 5 today. So they're both due. That's the good news. So we'll get some Julian and Kepler in the books. In terms of Cleveland, J-Ram is a little bit too obvious, but I wouldn't put you off playing him tomorrow. Naylor is the other one. He's going to be a cheaper DFS option. Hit his first home run last night, and he's got decent numbers as well, decent projections. So yeah, I'll take Naylor for Cleveland with Julian and Max Kepler. For the Twins, Krev's having a slow meltdown. I'm sort of half checking that score, and I see the Red Sox have got the bases loaded. It's still 1-0. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a little bit of insurance, although I'm getting a sweat out of it.
I'm on the Red Sox still tied.
But they've left the bases loaded again. So much so, Trev's gone for the caps lock because they've left the bases loaded. He's gone for the caps lock and the swear words, which is always a surefire combination that you're watching the Red Sox. Right, okay. The penultimate game, we got there quick. The penultimate game, 4:15 Eastern, is the 0-7 Miami Marlins at the St. Louis Cardinals. Left-handed pitcher Ryan Weathers for the Marlins, and Lance Lynn draws the start for St. Louis. Dylan, lead us off.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a total here instead of a side, and I'm going to go on the under 9. A little chalky, -125, but I made my total 8.6, so small value here on the under. If you don't want to take the full game under, I don't think lines are out for team total yet, but maybe look towards a team total under for the Marlins. I just really can't trust them right now. I don't know what's going on with them, but they lost again today, 0-7. They put up just 2 runs today, 7 total runs in the series against the Halos. They're making them look like a playoff team, for goodness sake. So no team total yet, but anything under like a 4.5, I would take the under on the Fish's team total. So as much as like we like to make fun of Lance Lynn and bust his balls, he actually pitched really well against the Dodgers last week. If he has just a similar type of game, the Fish are in for a long night. So I like the Cardinals here. I think the Marlins can continue to struggle, but I think we see a lower scoring game. Plus, we got 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing in tomorrow afternoon as well. So the ball's going to be dying in the air. So I'm going to be on the under, and depending on the opening team total for the Fish, I might be dabbling in that as well.
I watched a lot of the Miami game tonight, and there's just some issues. Luis Arias was striking out, which he just doesn't
That's
do.
not normal.
And he struck out. He kind of went down a little bit feebly tonight. He didn't put up much of a fight. I saw Tyler Anderson get him last night, and he went down to Patrick Sandoval in his first at-bat. Jazz Chisholm's hit 1 grand slam early in the season, done nothing else. Tim Anderson looks a bit like a frog in a blender. Jake Berger's the only one who's been doing bits. He looks locked in at the plate. But yeah, in St. Louis, now, obviously, they were one of the teams I was furthest out on at the start of the season. But that's not to say that I'll not be happy to take them in certain spots. And actually, I thought they did okay against the Dodgers. And Lance Lynn was good. He was definitely a bounce-back candidate. 4 scoreless at the Dodgers last time. And the absolute key to Lance Lynn is not giving up the long ball. And there's no one on this Miami team. Looks like they're going to hit one out at the moment. Ryan Weathers, 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs last time. I think the Cardinals pitching will thin out as the season goes on. So I'm still not 100% in on them. But 3-3, and they're going okay so far. They've showed enough to stuff this Miami team, is what I'm getting at. And I think the run line's a great play. If you want to take the -150, that's fine. But I don't know why St. Louis won't be able to win this by more. They've showed enough they're back at home. They've showed enough to put this Miami team. Like Randy says in the chat, you have to ride the streak. That's how baseball works.
Yeah.
So we'll take St. Louis on the run line. A couple of players, Wilson Contreras is going well. He's round about plus 550, I think, to hit a homer. And St. Louis were my DFS stack option, I think, for tomorrow. If you wanted to stack a team, you've got Donovan, Gorman, Contreras, and Burleson. You could stack all of them at reasonable prices. The only one I'd leave out, the one I'm not convinced about tomorrow, is Arenado. Donovan, total bases plus 150. Well, that's what he was tonight. So I'm guessing he'll be a similar price tomorrow. So yeah, if St. Louis stack if you're having a little DFS game tomorrow. Final game on the card, 7:40 Eastern first pitch, is the Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals. Mike Soroka goes for the White Sox. Seth Lugo draws the start for the Kansas City Royals. Plus 145 on the White Sox, minus 180 on the Royals. The White Sox got the win last night behind Garrett Crochet. I took White Sox first 5, trying to be clever, and it was nothing after the first 5. So I was kind of right and wrong all at the same time. But that is one of the things. You have to handicap the game correctly, but then you still have to alight on the correct bet when you get there. So I wasn't far away, but close but no cigar, as they say. Mike Soroka was pretty average last week against the Tigers. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, no strikeouts either. So that might be an angle in if you want to fade Soroka on the punchies. Seth Lugo was an unlucky loser last week against Minnesota. Picked 6 scoreless with only 2 hits and a walk, but got no run support at all. Minnesota won that game. Seth Lugo's turned into, I don't know what you thought of him at the Mets, because he always said he wanted to be a starting pitcher. He never really got a chance. And he's turned into a real steady Eddie. His last 3 years, Dylan, 357, 360, 350. That's 3 outstanding performances. So White Sox go on the road for the first time. I like Lugo out as a prop. He's just rocks. He goes 6 innings. He's just a bit of a machine. He's a bit of a robot. Is Lugo. You'll get 6 innings out of him, no problem. But I think KC are going to be far too strong for the White Sox, especially with Soroka going here. They might be backable the odd time under Crochet. That's probably about it. And it's back to the run line. I'll take KCR on the run line. Parlay them on the money line with St. Louis if you want. They look like the 2 winners though, Dylan.
I love the out prop for Seth Lugo. He's a machine. Even though he gets into some trouble sometimes, he still goes 6 and a third. So if it's anything like 15 and a half, 16, 17, I would hit the over. I love that look. For me though, I'm gonna go with another total, and it's gonna be another under 8.5. At even money is gonna be the play. I made my total 8.1. Between Lugo and Soroka. Seth Lugo looked great for the Royals in his first start. They just couldn't get him any run support. That's why they wound up losing. But yeah, he looked really good. Soroka, on the other hand, didn't have the best first start of the season, got roughed up a bit. And I do think this is a good spot for him because the Royals don't hit righties well. They actually hit lefties much better. So I think this could be a nice bounce back spot for him. Both teams 3-2 towards the under first 5 games of the season. Another area where we got winds blowing in tomorrow night in Kansas City. So ball's going to be dying. It's going to be a cold day in Kansas City. So 2 all right pitchers. I think we're going to see an under here. So at even money, I like the under 8.5.
Okay, that makes sense, Dylan. I love it. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's just about done it. We tried to pad out a 6-game card with a few other bits and bobs, but yeah, there's only so much you can do. It'll be an interesting little slate, and it is a little bit easier maybe sometimes, or psychologically, when you look at 6 games, it's not as daunting. You think, right, okay, I can tackle that. I can tackle 3 or 4. When you look at 15, think, right, how many bullets am I going to have to fire tonight? So a little 6-game card, presuming the Mets get their game on, we can pick some winners. Sorry, I did have a couple of players to watch for in this Kansas City game. One was Vinny Pasquantino, the Pasquatch. I've got my Sasquatch hat on, actually, totally by accident. He's just not striking out. Vinny, at all. So if you could get it under on a K prop, remember Scott gave us that under prop on Lewis Campazano for the Soul Series. So I'm following his lead. Pasquantino under on the strikeouts. And he'll be right down the bottom of a DFS, and he'll be at big prices for home runs and total bases. Is Nelson Velasquez for Kansas City. 382 ISO power, 374 expected weighted on base average. Velasquez might be able to chip away tomorrow, and you should be able to get some nice prices about him because he's generally forgotten about by the books down at the bottom of the order. So I think that's everything I've got. Dylan, anything you want to tell the people before we let them go and sweat out these final few outs of these games?
If we got a lock and dog, if we got time for a lock and dog real
Oh,
quick.
yeah, that's short card. Yeah, go on then, mate. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Lock, I'm going to go with Pablo Lopez and the Twins. I think this is a really good spot for them. Guardians, they're up really big. When a team like that busts open for 8 runs, I like to come back the next day, fade them. It's a travel spot for them coming from Seattle all the way to Minnesota. So I think this is a good spot. I like to fade Tanner Bibee on the road. So give me Minnesota on the money line as my lock. And as my dog, I was going to take the Nationals, but I'm going to just continue to fade the Marlins. Give me the Cardinals on the run line. I think I see a plus 140. That's tremendous value for a team that started 0-7. Yeah, I'm just going to continue to fade them. Give me the Cardinals on the run line.
Yeah, that's fair enough. My dog, there's not many kicking around, so I'll go with Detroit in this first game. I'll go with the Tigers. Mize is round about plus 110. Looks like a nice price for against this Mets team that is scuffing along. For my lock, I'm going to change it up a bit here. We'll go with this. We'll go with the money line parlay, Dylan. St. Louis and Kansas City. Both St. Louis minus 150. Kansas City are minus 180. I don't know what that adds up to as a parlay. Someone better than me can work that out. But we'll take St. Louis and Kansas City as a parlay in place of my lock. Smashing. Anything else, Dill?
No, I might go to shout out Trev. I might go to the Baltimore Orioles and Brewers game next week in Baltimore. So been to gonna go to 2 baseball games, and I've seen the Brewers twice. So hopefully they lose one of them. But yeah, nothing else. Just grinding out, and yeah, we'll be here. I think we're gonna have a Friday episode as well, right? Munaf, the boss was saying.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, a cheeky little half an hour on a Friday, kind of a lock dog total type thing, like we did, because obviously people are a bit busy at the weekend, and you need a bit more time to consume the stuff. So, a little half an hour Friday show. If you do catch up with us on YouTube or you do subscribe, do us a favour and go and like and leave a little comment, because we're a big push just to get the algorithm going, so more people can find us. So we banged the drum for this on the Premier League show, and it's worked absolute wonders. So if you do have 30 seconds, just go and like and leave a comment underneath the YouTube video. Thanks everyone for joining us. I know it was a little ugly card, but there's some winners in there somewhere. So hopefully myself and Dylan and everyone who listens can pick some out. We'll be back tomorrow. I think it's myself and Scott with a 13-game card. So back at it, all guns blazing tomorrow night. Thanks, Dylan. Been an absolute pleasure as always. Good luck, everybody, with your bets. Till tomorrow, we will see you down the road. Cheers.